Well, my dad had that personality, very open, very friendly, very caring. If somebody said, oh, I'm painting my house today, he'd be over the next morning in his painting clothes saying, how can I help you? He just was always so proud of me, whatever I did. And then when I came home and I said, I'm going to be a social worker, he was like, you kind of give out welfare checks? And I said, no, Dad, I'm going to help people. He goes, well, honey, oh, that's okay. My Democratic daughter's going to be a social worker and hand out welfare checks. He goes, well, that's all right, sweet pea. He didn't know how sick he was. And my mom had a hard time with the changes. She made my dad hover to the bedroom and hook up to oxygen and then go back to the easy chair because she cannot have the oxygen visible in the house. He couldn't breathe one night and they called 911 and he came to the hospital and that's how he passed. And that was what he needed. My mom wouldn't have been able to handle him at home. She was a bank teller for years, always worked very hard, and she developed this hobby of making dolls. She had a kiln in the garage, and she would make beautiful porcelain dolls. The problem was she was declining mentally for quite a while, but my dad covered for her. So it wasn't until my dad passed away that it became very clear my mom had dementia. And she had moved in with me, and that was very hard on both of us. I remember this was in February, and I came home from work and found my mom on the floor right here. She had fallen, and I knew she broke her hip. I remember going in the kitchen and putting away my groceries and thinking to myself, she's not coming back. It was at that point I called Carrie from Hospice. I said, can I talk to you a little bit about my mom? Because she's throwing things at the nurses. She needs her Norco for pain. She needs her Seroquel. And my mom is used to drinking wine every night. So she wants her wine, her Seroquel, and her Norco, and ice cream. And she does not want to be told what to eat. You know, and being a social worker, I help people with this, but I'm not a social worker here. I'm her daughter. And so I relied on them to tell me how this was going to work. Every step of the way, it was really my mom's plan and our plan. It was never, we're going to take away this, we're going to take away that. The pharmacy would call me to pick up the meds that hospice didn't cover, and hospice took care of everything else. And it was relieving to know she was well cared for. I think the biggest fear that they have is they're feeling that they're giving up. And, you know, I want to reassure them, and it's not a matter of giving up. It's about what is your quality of life. You're spending all your time in the hospital getting another test, getting this, getting that, when you're not going to get better. So why not spend that time at home with your family? That final week, she was very, very paranoid. Almost didn't recognize who I was. And she demanded to know where my dad was. And I told her that he had passed away. And she was very angry at me. It was really hard. I was crying. And I called hospice and I just said, this is what's going on. And they just said, Carrie, it's okay. You know, she's transitioning. And all of a sudden my friend goes, oh my God, your mom just changed color. And she was gone. I still get little twinges of guilt. And I'll often call Carrie and I'll go, can I just run this by you? I'm feeling a little guilty about this. And she'll just reassure me. And I'll remember how happy my mom was. You don't have to wait for the doctor to give you an order for Tylenol. You don't have to wait if you're scared in the middle of the night. You don't have to have counseling if you don't need it, but it's there if you do. There are support groups for children, you know, for teenagers, for adults. They truly care. The aides love what they do, the LVNs, the nurses, the social workers. It's just the love and support that you never knew you possibly could have. It's beautiful.